Hi everyone, hope everything's well with you today and you're looking forward to our Dharma session. So let's do the chanting straight away. And for those of us around Melbourne, the chanting will warm us up. Quite cold, very windy today. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. Tatayampi Buddham saranam gacchami. Tatayampi Dhammam saranam gacchami. Tatayampi Sangham saranam gacchami. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from the happiness beyond suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment to the near, and aversion from the far. I shall cause this great compassionate Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. Reverently I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every types of offerings, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all of my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in all the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. These remain until cyclic existence ends and turn the wheel of Dharma for all sentient beings. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. However innumerable all sentient beings are, I vow to save them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are, I vow to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are, I vow to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is, I vow to follow it completely. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Tayata Gati Gati Para Samgati Bodhiso. Tayata Gati Gati Para Samgati Bodhiso. Tayata Gati Para Samgati Bodhiso. Okay, so now time for some meditation. Let's release the tension in the body. So bring your mind to your body, right at the bottom of the body first, work your way up to the shoulders, down to the ends of your fingers, then back up to the top of your head. So we'll take a few moments to do this now. Once you've completed this, scan your body again, just to see if there's any leftover tension. that you can release. And now bring your focus to the tip of your nose initially. And the object of the meditation is the breath, or the feeling of the breath. Follow the feeling of the breath as you breathe in your nose, all the way into your lungs, and then back out your nose again. Try your best to keep your mind seamlessly focused on this feeling of the breath. But, if you get distracted, that's okay. You just replace the mind back on the breath at that time. Apply the antidote. You can also utilize another technique on top of this, of counting the breaths. One in-breath and one out-breath is one, and so on. But don't count past 10. And if you get distracted while counting towards 10, then go back to 1 at that time. So if thoughts arise, or any mental agitation, mental activities arise, don't cling to them, don't grasp at them. Also, don't try to force them away or deny them even. But simply and naturally let them go by replacing your mind back onto the breath. And if your mind starts to become dull, what I say fuzzy, sleepy, then wake it up a little bit by refocusing on your breath more brightly. So let's practice like this in silence for a few minutes.
I can't hear him. Voice, I think.
Leanne, I think somebody's got their mic on or something. So can you just make sure that I'm the only one with the mic on? Thank you. So now we can feel pleased with ourselves for engaging in the breath meditation and fill our whole being with universal loving kindness. Utilizing visualization of your whole being filling with white light or white nectar, or just having the feeling is fine too. This type of feeling of loving kindness towards ourselves, it's almost like we're giving ourselves a massage mentally, releasing the tension, releasing any hardness of the heart, softening the heart, generating more kindness to ourselves, to others. Fill yourself with so much loving kindness that it now overflows and radiates outwards, initially to our loved ones, family, and friends. And also include strangers. And also those that we may regard as enemies. May all of these people have happiness and its causes, and be free from suffering and its causes. May they all be peaceful. And now let's radiate the loving kindness out further and further distance-wise, initially around your immediate area, to all living beings now, not just people. Those you're familiar with, those you're not familiar with, maybe even those that you have fears or a fear of, whether they live in the waters, on the land, or fly through the air. All sentient beings, whether weak or strong, great or small, short or tall, seen or unseen, or near or distant, born or to be born. May they all be happy and free from suffering and be peaceful. And now radiate this loving kindness out throughout your whole state or county. And other states and counties throughout your whole country. Sort of like a tidal wave of loving kindness spreading out further and further, generated from your own heart, your own mind. And throughout other countries too, those you're familiar with and have an affinity towards, those you don't know much about and may be indifferent towards, as well as those that, for whatever reason, you may have some negative feelings about. Have your loving kindness pervade throughout the oceans too, all the waterways, throughout this whole world, right to the core of the earth and to the outermost atmosphere. May all beings on this planet be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful. Now beyond this planet alone, throughout the whole solar system. And all solar systems throughout the galaxy. And all galaxies throughout the universe. Until your loving kindness pervades throughout infinite space. And now we will switch techniques to the giving and taking meditation. Very brief practice of this right now. Utilizing visualization, feeling. You can visualize in front of you innumerable living beings, all sentient beings. And coming from, I should say first, we should generate the bodhicitta mind. Bring to your mind all of the difficulties other living beings go through, all the sufferings, mentally and physically, and have the wish to free them from their sufferings, to cause them happiness. So now visualize from their heart centers, black smoke representing all of their difficulties and sufferings, leaving them and entering into your heart center, destroying your ego, self-centeredness, melting away into your heart center, freeing them from the sufferings. So as we breathe in, we will visualize this. Then as we breathe out, we will visualize white light coming from our heart center, representing all of our goodness and happiness, everything we find pleasing and have attachments to, giving it to all sentient beings, entering into their heart centers and making them happy, satisfied. So breathing in, breathe in the black smoke, destroying your ego and self-centeredness. Breathe out, let go of attachment, and give all of your happiness to others with the white light. Breathing in, black smoke, breathing out the white light. So let's practice like this. Developing this bodhicitta mind, great compassion. But once again, let's feel pleased for ourselves, pleased in ourselves, in our efforts, putting the meditations into practice. And let's do the dedication prayer. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of the Buddha, so that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious bodhicitta not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline but increase forevermore. And may the precious view of shunyata not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline but increase forever. And so now we will continue our commentary on the 8 verses of thought transformation. And today we will finish up the commentaries that I think there's been 5 of them, including today, on the 2nd verse, and start the 3rd verse next week. So, of course, I haven't recited them for a while, so I think I'll recite all of them now, and then we can get into the commentary, like I said, finishing up what I was talking about last week, basically. In equalizing everything, developing this mind of equanimity so that our compassion and loving kindness can be spread outwards and radiated outwards equally among all living beings. We can develop it beyond measure, these immeasurable qualities, okay, all based on the mind of equanimity. 8 verses of thought transformation. With the wish to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings who are more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel, I will constantly practice holding them dear. Mani padme hum, mani padme hum. Whenever I am with others, I will practice seeing myself as the lowest of all, and from the very depth of my heart, I will respectfully hold others as supreme. Om mani padme hum, mani padme hum. In all actions, I will examine my mind. In the moment a disturbing attitude arises, endangering myself and others, I will firmly confront and avert it. Whenever I meet a person of bad nature who is overwhelmed by negative energy and intense suffering, I will hold such a rare one dear, as if I have found a precious treasure. When others out of jealousy mistreat me with slander, abuse, and so on, I will practice accepting the defeat and offering the victory to them. When someone I have benefited and in whom I have placed great trust hurts me very badly, I will practice seeing that person as my supreme teacher. In short, I will offer directly and indirectly every benefit and happiness to all beings, my mothers, and in secret I will take upon myself all their harmful actions and sufferings. Without these practices being defiled by the stains of the 8 worldly concerns, by perceiving all phenomena as illusory, I will practice without grasping to release all beings from the bondage of the disturbing, unsubdued mind and karma. So the second verse, once again, is whenever I'm with others, I will practice seeing myself as the lowest of all. And from the very depth of my heart, I will respectfully hold others as supreme. Once again, I remind you, it's not putting yourself down. What it is humbling ourselves so that we can develop this mind of equanimity. Because since beginningless time, we have put our own well-being above others. And even throughout the past, we may have acted in a really, really bad way as a result of this. I'd say all of us present here today are training our minds. We're working to improve ourselves constantly, consistently. And so I don't think there's really, really bad stuff. I don't think any of us are going to go out and kill somebody just because. You know, there's probably some people around in the world that you may have some sort of feeling like that, but I think we would catch ourselves. We wouldn't want to do that. Of course, if you have to save someone's life, that's a different story. You know, that's actually active compassion as well. But generally, I think we're all pretty good people. And so we wouldn't have done so many bad things in recent times. And I think we're working, I'm pretty sure all of you are working towards developing this mind of equanimity, if you already haven't got it. Because there are times we get glimpses of it, you know, there are times when we act like this, you know, but I think for most of us right now, we have to try a bit, you know, have to sort of force it a little bit. And as we do this, it becomes more natural. You know, if we start to get biased mind, lack of equanimity, then we're getting better, I think, at catching it and then applying the antidote of putting your mind back onto that to develop that, you know, give up the bias, let go of the attachment to what you feel or what we feel we find pleasing, give up aversion to what we feel we don't like, you know, find unpleasant. Some of these things, like it's legitimate, you know, all of the things you find pleasing and legitimate for you, you know, no, it's fine. Things you find unpleasant, same. But the problem is not so much that we maybe don't hang out with certain people or don't like to be around certain creatures, maybe you get eaten or something. But also the problem is not that you have stuff that you find pleasing. It's the attachment is the problem and the aversion is the problem. And the bias mind is the root of the problem in this case, okay? So we're working to develop this equanimity. I mentioned last week, and I won't go back into my notes on that, how other living beings, we can contemplate, you know, and the week before, by the way, we can contemplate how we're all equal, how we're all the same in a certain sense. We all have the potential to become a Buddha, to realize our true nature. Right now, we're not a Buddha. We all have a certain degree of ignorance, attachment, and aversion, and other mental afflictions that arise due to these 3 poisons. So we're all equal in this sense too. We all want happiness. We're the same in this sense. We don't want suffering. So we're the same in this sense. You get it? That's people I'm just talking about now. What about other creatures? I've been giving the examples of the animals, of certain animals, how in certain cases they're actually more, you can say, more superior than we are. You know, the heightened senses of different types of animals during times of big change in weather and natural disasters, things like that, you know, where we're kind of oblivious to it until it's on us already. They can kind of, they have some sort of semblance, some sort of order in the way that they live. They don't go out and kill on purpose just for the sake of killing something. The animals that do this, that eat meat, for instance, would do it because of hunger or because of fear, you know, fearing for their lives themselves. Whereas us humans, some humans anyway, go out and kill for the fun, what they think is fun, you know, the hunting, the gaming, things like this. And also we unfortunately utilize our intelligence, even though we can discern right from wrong, we utilize our intelligence often to just material self-gain, you know, and even to harm others. Think about one of the largest businesses in the world is weapon making. Small weapons, big, huge weapons. Weapons that can destroy so much. Think about how much money is spent by countries or certain countries in making these weapons or buying them from other countries. It's really crazy. To make these weapons, most of the weapons would probably be metal. So obviously there's lots more mining happening, which is destroying the planet and creating more pollution. So you can see how us human beings, I'm talking generally now, it's not us here right now, but there are human beings that are misusing, you could say, the intellect, not avoiding doing the wrong things, but engaging in the wrong things, not attempting even to do the right things sometimes. Okay, so we ourselves, as practitioners, we need to develop this mind of equanimity. We have to live by example. Not to say that we can change anybody, but at least we give other beings the opportunity within our presence or hear our voice or anything like that, that we can be a good influence to help them to improve. So I'll give some more stuff. I know I've got about a little half a page here left of my notes for this verse. So I finished up last week by saying, so in a sense, we are inferior to animals in these examples that I've just given or just reiterated as well. We can regard ourselves as lower in this sense, which will help us, once again, to be humble, have stability of mind, be flexible in our mind, you know, and work to improve ourselves all the time, you know, be patient with things, be patient with ourselves, and so on. So due to all of these examples from this week and the previous weeks, others are superior, and this is a great way to train our mind. This is why this is called thought transformation. We think or have been thinking in a certain way for so many lifetimes. Now we are uprooting that. We're changing that. We're applying the opposite so that we can balance it out and develop this mind of equanimity. One of the reasons for using the word lower is to emphasize that normally when we give into our ordinary emotions, such as anger, hatred, strong attachment and greed and so forth, we do so without any sense of restraint. So if you take anything from today's commentary, restraint is the word, okay? When we are involved with our mental afflictions, when they're fully blown, at that time, there's very little or no restraint, restraining ourselves from engaging in the negative thoughts, negative words, negative actions. Okay, so once again, disclaimer, I don't think this is you guys. This is generally, okay, but I'm giving big examples to make a point, to get the point across, okay, for our mind training. Because even on a very subtle level, we have these, don't we? We're not free from attachment yet, and so on, so on. So you need to know these big examples so that they're very obvious, and then work inner to decrease the subtle mental afflictions, okay? And then once we start to decrease them, the bigger ones won't arise. You know, like for instance, the attachments, let's say on a subtle level attachment, you get to nip it in the bud before it becomes something that's, you know, negative, you know, big negative. And so I'll repeat that because it's not a bad little verse. One of the reasons for using the word lower is to emphasize that normally when we give in to our ordinary emotions, our negative mental afflictions, such as anger, hatred, strong attachment, greed, and so on, we do so without any sense of restraint at that time. Think about the times, we've spoken about this a lot, but think about the times when you got really angry in your life. And then it's very hard, isn't it, to bring it back once it's fully blown. It upsets everything. And in fact, in the Bodhicitta, the way of the Bodhisattva scripture or text by Master Shantideva, he mentions that you can destroy the good karma from 100,000, I think it's 100,000 lifetimes of good karma, of merit making. Is destroyed at the moment the anger becomes fully blown. One moment of anger. Now, of course, there's varying degrees of the one moment of anger in intensity and so on, and whether you follow through on it as well. But you think about that. At that moment, you're disturbing your mind, at very least. So let's nip it in the bud, as we say. Don't let the weeds grow, to use metaphors. So the next thing says, what did I write here? I haven't even revised this. Often we are totally oblivious to the impact our behavior has on others and nature, for instance. And I mentioned some of this before, but like climate change, for instance. Our behavior, or human beings' behavior, is very bad in the sense of looking after our planet. This place that we actually, you know, we protect our bodies. We should protect our mind more, actually, but we protect our bodies, look after it, you know, clean it, maybe look after our house, things around us. But what are we generally doing to the planet? Like I mentioned mining before, the pollution creating that comes from this and other industries and so on, okay? So this is actually, we're oblivious. Most people are oblivious to the damage that collectively we are causing. We want clean air, okay? Otherwise, we're going to have to wear a mask, like a full-on mask. We don't even like wearing the easy ones. Need food. You know, if the planet becomes totally, if the global warming happens, for instance, you know, maybe it'd be less foods. The salt water will start taking over the areas that are near the coastal areas where a lot of food is grown, and they won't be able to grow food, so there may not be enough food around. Then, of course, we need water, clean water, fresh water. There'll be less of that around. And of course, we need some shelter. And these are the requisites. These are the things that we actually need. But we are destroying this planet that has kind of, for all of our lifetime and lifetimes, kind of nourished us in a sense. So it's almost like we are really hurting ourselves. And so there's, once again, big examples, extreme examples, so that you can go away and mentally chew on them to develop this mind of equanimity. Deliberately cultivating the thought that others are superior and worthy of respect, we have the chance to restrain ourselves. So when we think of the goodness of others, to quote myself again, if you see good in others, let it be you. If you see bad in others, don't let it be you. So by putting others and seeing the good qualities of others, we ourselves can adopt these good qualities, even if we have already got them, have them improve, you know. So by putting others above ourselves, we humble ourselves, give up attachment to the self, and at the same time able to learn from others, learn what not to do sometimes, and then also learn what to do. Looking at the good qualities. Then when emotions arise, they won't overpower us. We will consider the impact of our actions. So that's really important that we do that, you know, like even our thoughts, you know, in our Dharma practice on the cushion, for instance, when you're meditating or even studying, you can have some restraint in any negativities arising. You may notice, oh, I'm getting bored, or maybe I'm getting sleepy, or maybe it's don't understand this part of the Dharma. It's irritating me. You know, we can actually, even when we're on the cushion, we can actually consider the impact of our actions. In other words, mental actions at that time. And then our emotions, when they do arise, they won't overpower us. We'll be able to nip them in the bud and develop this mind of equanimity. So I got everything done. So once again, I'll remind you of next week, on maybe about 3 weeks on from that, we will have commentary on the third verse. So the third verse is really the core of the Dharma practice, isn't it? Look after your mind, purify your mind. We just went under 1 minute. So that verse is the moment a disturbing attitude arises in danger of myself and others, I will firmly confront and avert it. So anytime these unwholesome thoughts arise, right at that moment, you know, get rid of it there and then. Don't let it grow and overwhelm you, overcome you. Be kind to yourself. Where it all begins is in your own mind. Everything is a construct of the mind. I rejoice in your meritorious goodness as always, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Feel free to message me with any questions. Until then, take good care of yourself. Study well,